Also, goeienaand almal, baie welkom hierso. Dis verskriklik lekker dat julle hier is so op 'n Vrydag aand. Ja, ek is nie welkomsteer vanaand, so ek is nie hier wat gaan praat nie. Ek sê welkom vir julle, maar ook to our guest speakers this evening. Let me just introduce them. I'm not going to say what they're doing, or you can see some of them are reverencing church and so on, but I think when they start speaking, they can maybe tell you what they're doing. But let's start over there. Bagari en Zambile en Skalk, wat die boek geskryf het. Skalk, jou boeke is te koop na die tyd, het is beskikbaar, so nee. Ja. And this is Tammy, and this is Charlotte. I think some of you know Charlotte. Yes, but welcome and thank you for being here this evening. Wanneer ons hierdie gesprek voer vanaand, dan weet ons dat ons doen dit in die Here se teenwoordigheid. Ons is bly om hierdie gesprek te voer, want ons as Christene word geroep om oor grense heen in gesprek te wees met mekaar. En ek praat nou Afrikaans, but I think the rest of the evening will be in English and sometimes a bit Afrikaans. So hoe ons gaan werk is dat Marike gaan nou die inleidende paar woorde sê, en dan van daar af gaan ons oorgee, en aan die einde, dan gaan nou ook vir julle vakansie wees om vrae te vra. En ek wil net sê, Marike, ons spot so, ons sê, Marike is eintlik my baas, sy is op ons kerkraad. En ons sê vir haar baie dankie, want sy het die redings getref vanaand en al die mense by mekaar gekry het.
This is actually putting me on the spot because I said to her, I don't want to say anything. It's not necessary, she's the reverend. She has a degree and everything. No, thank you very much everyone for being here, and a special thanks to our guests. I think something that really stood out to me is, I initially gave Lisa a call and I said to her, Lisa, I don't know what we should do, but we need to do something because at this stage we're doing nothing and conversations like this need to be held. And that's how the journey really started. Maybe I shouldn't add that I was crying. I was like, Lisa, your message here. So thank you, Lisa, also for the fact that right from the start, your exact words were actually count me in. Let's just do something. So this is our form of doing something. I think we've all experienced that when we sit around the braai, there's either one side of a pendulum that happens. You have Afrikaners, like myself sometimes, who are on the one side of the woke spectrum where we are almost embarrassed to be Afrikaans. And on the other side, we have strong negative themes. And I think what's missing for me is the middle, where we have good conversations. And I think what's also missing is conversations that are not happening in an echo chamber, where it's just a bunch of Afrikaans people around the fire, where there's no relationship and respect. And I think that's what I really am so thankful for tonight, is that fact that we are able to have different opinions around the table and having different representations of different pieces of that spectrum. So a massive thank you for all the speakers and for the fact that also they just said, count me in. Scott said, let's use my book, let's go for it. So thank you very, very much. So on that note, I'll then hand over to Scott, who will kick us off, as he is our victim for the evening. He initially pitched it as, let's do a roast of Scott. But our speakers were too kind. They said, no, that might be a little bit harsh. Let's have a conversation. So Scott, thank you very, very much for you. Really appreciate it. Okay, and then this is the talking steam.
They're sharing a mic, so we've already established that that's the poor people. It's like an outreach, they have to share the mic. Nobody believes in socialism until you get free snacks. I'm looking at the sound man firstly, because there's a little red light on there and we're all mic'd up. Normally around the Braaivleis Kuier we wouldn't be mic'd up. So it feels artificial, but we're in this room together tonight to have a discussion. But the significance of that little light means after tonight people will share in this discussion online. And And for myself, I'll try and be as brave and as honest as I would have been if there weren't any cameras. And if I get in trouble, which I normally do, then it's on film. So ek weet nie wat gaan gebeur nie, maar ek gaan record it, but I'm not going to hold back because that little red light is on. So if you're watching later, stop there. I just want to greet Betereinder and Tola. I don't know you don't want the spotlight, but he's actually Dr. Tola in theology. So the smartest person in the room is not on stage tonight. So it's very humbling to be here. Thanks for being here. When we have faces in the room, I'm in Grieke, so ons weet almal dit is dit in Afrikaans. Sorry Charlotte. Maar wat ek vind is, as jy 'n abstrakte gesprek het oor Afrikaans en Engels, moedertaal, dan is dit moeilik. Maar die oomblik as Trevor daar sit, en ons weet hy verkies Engels, dan voel dit anders om maar te probeer Engels praat, want dit is vir 'n Trevor, jy weet? Of vir Charlotte, jy weet? So, gesigte verander altyd in sy teologie. So ek wil maar net erken in my label, I don't know, you always get insults in Afrikaans, but you understand the rest. I know which ones you understand. But anyway, so I might speak Afrikaans here and there, want dit is Afrikaanse boek, en ek is 'n Afrikaner wat skryf Afrikaner Christene. So I think it would be appropriate sometimes om net te praat, nie? Maar ek dink vir naaste liefde gaan ek baie Engels praat. Dis net iets stupid. Taal is so belangrik. It's not for inclusivity and wokeness that I'm speaking English. Dit is 'n Amerikaanse goed. Dis vir oudheid se naaste liefde dat ek Engels praat. So ek dink dit is deel van die journey. Hulle het gevra my eers net gou gesê hoekom ek die boek geskryf het, want julle wat hier sit het nie dit gelees nie. Hierdie 4 rase het dit gelees en dis hoekom hulle nou hier is. Net miskien 'n 2 minute opsomming. Lux Berby het my gevra om 'n boek te skryf oor my lewe. Dit is 'n bietjie dramaties klink. En ek het gesê nee, tensy ons dit soos 'n handboek kan maak van iets hoe mense vorentoe te vat. So wat 'n biografie moes wees oor 'n wit ou verlore in Afrika, het 'n bietjie van daai stories in, maar eintlik is dit hierdie 'n boekie wat sê hoe om die goed te doen wat jy dominee altyd vir sê jy moet doen. Die meeste gemeentelede, waar is die dominees nou? Nou die werk kry. Daar is hulle. Meeste dominees spreek hulle harte uit, maar as die gemeente nou actually moet opdaag en sê, right, ons is nou hier, kom ons begin, dan weet iemand wat om dit actually te doen. So jy weet die hoekom en al die diep goeders, maar jy weet nie hoe om die goed te doen. So hierdie is 'n hoe handboek. Hoe om wat te doen? 2 goeders. Aan die begin het ons gesê, reconciliasie en restituisie. Toe hardloop al die Afrikaners uit die vertrek uit, want dit is trigger words. Nou het ons, staan saam en werk saam, en ewe skielik is almal in. So, we're not that difficult to figure out. You can trick us with basic words. So, staan saam gaan oor verhoudings, en werk saam gaan oor jou tyd en jou geld te deel om goed fisies beter te maak. En ek is 'n teoloog, maar ek is ook 'n akademiek in ontwikkelingsstudies wat niks met die kerk te doen het nie. En dit is die nommer 1 fout. The number 1 mistake of most churches, corporates, is they overweighted on one of the 2 sides. Either they're so technocratic, just fixing stuff. And as a white person, sorry, warning, ek is baie eerlik, okay? So jammer. As a white person, you try and fix things, make things better. Then you get very fancy black people that tell you, oh, you want to be the white messiah. You're like, no, but I want to help. And then you're not sure should you continue or not. And then you start working more to try and fix poverty. And what else is like? You try and fix things, 'n boer maak 'n plan, but people don't seem happy with that. They say, you guys are so arrogant. You caused all of this nonsense. Now you're so arrogant you think you're going to fix all of this nonsense. You're just like, can't black people do anything? So jy doen iets, dan kry jy kritiek. Okay, great, ek gaan niks meer doen nie. Nou as jy nou aan die ander kant, sê jy moet nou jammer sê vir apartheid, jy moet maatjies maak wat swart is, you have to reconcile. Some of my black friends also say there's no reconcile, we will never unconciled and reconciling. They're just saying, maybe reconcile because we were never together. So in my geval, so now you're trying to say sorry and make friends and learn isiZulu, and then people will be angry at you for that effort as well. And they'll say, listen, I'm tired of this kumbaya, and then there's a swear word, kumbaya, this or that. It doesn't change the material reality. After the nice workshop, talking about Jesus, I get in my Isuzu, and you get in a taxi, and nothing's changed. So this side gets critiqued as too fluffy. This one gets critiqued as too technocratic. And where we get in trouble for churches moving forward, very few, especially in Gekerke, manages to walk together in balance. Klein trekkies, little bit of relationship, little bit of justice, little bit of relationship, and then you don't come across as either too arrogant or too insincere. It comes across as integrity because your wallet and your heart, everything's kind of in pace. So I think dis die grootste les van my boek, as ek sê hoe om 'n verskil te maak, hoe om 'n verskil te wees, om die land beter te maak. Wat ek as Afrikaner moes leer is doen goeders, maar doen binnewerk. En dis nooit een of die ander nie, dis bietjie. En ons almal gaan inevitably, dis hoekom ek hier het, maar ek het, jy gaan soos ietsie begin regmaak, dan bou jy 'n shack, nou gee jy 'n sop. Dan raak dit so lekker om 'n verskil te maak. As jy weer sien, dan skeer jy op opstring, want jy is nou al hier in barmhartigheid in diep komberse sop, en is al hoe meer, en jy dink jy doen dit vir die Here, en dan kom skop iemand jou op jou ding is, en jy val van balans af, en jy sê, nie weer nie, ondankbare mense, en jy wip weer. Ek praat uit ervaring, ek het al baie gewip. Maar, dis omdat ek met een voetjie vorentoe geneek het, te ver, dat ek uit balans geraak het. En mense waardeer nie dit, as jy te sterk is op een been. So ek moes leer terugkom, en as jy heeltyd net in workshops is wat jammer sê vir dit, connecting, koinonia, al die goeders, dan gaan jy op van die raak. So, maybe I'll end my book with that illustration very visually. Your passion, Afrikaans, jou passie kan jou ondergang wees. So ons moet leer om met nederigheid, met soke klein trekkies te loop, en ek waarsku julle, what you're going to hear tonight, whatever critique they give, I'm guessing now, if there's critique, whatever critique they're going to give is often a reaction to white people moving too fast on one of these legs and neglecting the other side. So spits jou ore, as iemand iets sê, waarmee is die issue? Dit is 'n advies wat ek kan gee vir vanaand en vir ander tye. So, on that brief introduction, maybe just why the book, ons praat nie meer nie. South Africans, Afrikaners, you don't get people into the room anymore. Almal is net te moeg vir al die drama, sal hulle sê. En is baie hartseer. So, for whichever side you're floating to, we've lost the middle ground that you're referring to. En wat ek probeer doen, sorry, dit is so 'n cliché om 'n dominee te wees wat 'n boek geskryf het. Nee, ek kan nie, elke keer as ek sê wat ek in die boek probeer doen, en dan kry ek skaam. It's the first time my face is part of my ministry. Ek het dit aan gesê, as jy insim is, dan stel jy jou gesig vol op die voorblad. Met my het hulle gesê, kom ons doen eerder 'n vol lyf. So that's why it is. Ja, so wat ek probeer regtig nie net brug bou nie, maar brug wees, en as jy brug is as mens, then people walk across you from both sides. You have to be happy with that. But also a bridge is often just a resting spot. So like the if you're on the long bridges, you can get out of the car. And then you just stand on the bridge. So dis deel van jou bediening as 'n brugbouer of om 'n brug te wees, is your bridge and people can walk over you fine, but also people can just find that as like an in-between space to pause and to make sense of stuff. And that's why I have a lot of grace. Maybe let me provoke you guys already. If I'm at a braai en iemand sê by die braai, hierdie koffers kan ook nie die land regeer nie. Dan sê ek nie, verskoon my, jy die Kaapwoord gebruik, dit is nie my approach van brug wees nie. Dieselfde as ons by die braai is of by die touch rugby en dan vloek die een ou sê die hele liewe tyd as iemand iets verkeerd en dan sê hy, my Here Jesus en dan die F-bom. 100 keer 'n dag. Ek stop nie die game en praat nie. So deel van my brugbediening is om meer genade te gee as wat mense verwag. So dat baie mense sal sê ek is sellout of wat ook al, maar ek gee verskillend baie grace. En dit gaan nie vir my om daai uit te kry op die Here se naam te gebruik, teen te kry op 'n Kaapwoord te gebruik nie. I'm after the soul of the person. En vir Afrikaners, wat gatvol is, en bedonderd is, en moeg is, en paard is, en nou het jy nie eens genoeg geld om te emigreer nie. Dit is moeilik. Die eerste job is om jou eie geliefdheid as 'n wit mens te herontdek. So before I tell you, go and love black people, go and love the poor, is my eerste boodskap aan my mense. Ignore for Julius, love yourself, en dan gaan hierdie hele ding oor tuiskoms. Jy kan tuis voel in Afrika, al is jy vind. En ek is 'n billetjie wat baie diep in Afrika in geloop het. En ek weet hoe weird dit is om dit te wees hier. Maar ek weet ook ek kan tuis voel as 'n wit mens. That's the intro. As we go into the conversation, to me, I've only met once or twice, but as I do, you can only go on a date if you have something to do. So, ek speel net ek getroud met 2 kinders. But I like to do stuff. So I asked Timmy, the stranger, along, said, Timmy, kom saam, ek gaan bottles fix. By 'n ander NG kerk. Ons kom maar by hulle. Hulle help nie eens fix nie, hulle sê net daar is die gate. Okay. En ek het Timmy maak die gate reg en die ander mense van die kerk kom uit, met ons saam met my bakkie gery. Nou ken hulle nie vir Timmy van 'n kant af nie. Nou sê die tannie, do you have a car? Ek het nie wist Timmy, hy sê, nee, ek moet 'n kar sê. Give me your number, and our church we often need car guards. Then I can hook you up for a job, okay? Nou, shrink ek en ek sê, oh my goodness, maar dit is die beste storie. Because in woke circles, daai tannie sal net uitgehaal word as 'n racist, disrespectful, evil, gat die hel toe want jy was lelik met Timmy, which she was, to be fair, but she also has something in her that cares. So wat ek voorstaan is, om grace te hê met almal op hulle pad. En nie iemand af te skiet omdat hulle die verkeerde woorde gebruik of dit nie. So poor Timmy was the victim. And then I was rejoicing when I drove in here. It was like a prophetic fix because here your God seemed to be white. Your God. So maybe they'll offer me a job this time. So it was like an equalizing factor. But alcohol. So these are the practical things in our country, and waarvoor ek staan is, kom ons gebruik al die gemors om nader aan mekaar te beweeg, nie om verder van mekaar weg te gaan nie. En die gewone swart mense in Suid-Afrika wat ek ken, en nie hierdie fancies nie, wil nader beweeg. Dis my ervaring, en dis wat ek kan deel. So miskien Timmy, the non-Kaapgaard. Iets interessant van hulle al 4 is dat hulle obviously Afrikaans lees. So, most of my black friends can't. So, hulle almal kan Afrikaans lees en het die boek gelees. So, maybe we should just jump in and start by what struck you.
I can book or...
Yeah, book, anything, me, Kaapgaard, life.
So... Okay, so with the Carla lady, it came from a good place, but the thing she offered me almost felt condescending in a way, because her interaction with black people was limited to waiters, cashier, car guard, petrol attendant. So she didn't feel that she was in the wrong offering me a position of car guard. But is that how everybody else sees me, or is that only how she saw me? And sometimes I wonder, do people underestimate me when they see me, or do they think of me as almost an equal?
This type of conversation, I call it the real talk, and we have officially started the real talk now.
Before you answer him, right? I love this question because it deals with what you wrote in the book. En dat is iewers wat jy skryf, en het het my raak. Ek het raak gelees, want dit was soos exactly wat jy sê to me. Jy sê iets van daardie aand vir die eerste keer besef ek dat swart mense slimmer as wit mense kan wees. Dat kan wees was vir my baie triggering van what do you mean? Soos dis asof dit 'n skok is vir wit mense, dat ons actually slim is. Like, it's kyk jy vir ons en jy sien jou bediende, jou tuinwerker, karthuisin, so dis ook 'n ander ding wat, soos jy sê, condescending, want as ons in 'n kamer instap of in 'n plek soos hierdie, we first have to justify who we are voor ons actually gehoor kan word, vir die kennis wat ons het. So daar wil ek, kan jy dit asseblief saamsit, soos jy vir hom antwoord?
Ja, dit is embarrassing, daai storie waarvan sy praat. Ek het in 95 matriek geskryf, ons die World Cup gewen het. Maar dit is net na die land verander het, so toe het ek in matriek, of in 9, die eerste keer debat gedoen teen swart sprekers. En ek het Natal kompetisie 1 keer gewen, toe dog ek slim. En toe in hierdie keer toe praat 'n swart uit teen my, en hy was net amazing. Hy was net in 'n ander vlak as ek, en my pa was 'n boer op die plaas. So die swart mense wat ek geken het, was literally farmworkers, domestics, so daai was die deel. So ek het groot geword met, wees lief vir, love black people. But it is klein baas en klein boy. And so I was taught good relationship with black people means love them down. Dis nie gesê nie, maar dis daaronder. And then this debate guy just kicked my butt. And it was a shock. It was a shock, and that's why I wrote it as a shock. That for the first time I thought black people can be smarter, because I wasn't, for then it was a shock, it was an exception. And even up to today, I'm very exposed to all kinds of too smart black people, but I would still say it's a weekly blind spot that I as Skull have to check, assuming black people are there unless proven otherwise. So ek kan heeltemal die frustration verstaan met bevoorregte, educated swart mense wat in daai spasies beweeg, maar dan nog dieper, as ek tussen die shacks is, en daar's 'n ou goggle wat nie kan Engels praat nie, dan is dit nie so konfronterend soos met intellectuals soos julle nie. But then I must still, as an Afrikaner, force myself in her language. She's probably smarter than me. So dit is 'n ding wat ek confidence het om te sê, as ek daarmee sukkel, sou ek my geld daarop sit. 99.99% van wit mense sukkel. Yesterday's Madrasa will call it competency racism or whatever. So ons natuurlike instinct is nie om te dink swart mense is so slim soos ons of slimmer. Ons weet in teorie dit kan. So ek sou op die tafel sit. Dis een van die goed waarmee ons nog vir lank gaan sukkel. And when the typical white person sees you have to prove them otherwise. So dis bad en dis hartseer en dis verkeerd. Maar ek dink dis nog steeds die reality waar ons is. Dis hoekom as jy praat, he speaks English first up with white people. Want as Afrikaans praat, waar hy baie gemaklik sê, "Oeh, jy praat so mooi." En hy bedoel dit mooi, want hy praat mooi. Maar dis hierdie ding wat oorkom as nie respectful nie en so. So that's the lesson for me, is you've got a perfect Afrikaans speaking person choosing to speak English. Why? Oor ons reaksie en ons is opreg, maar baie keer opreg stupid.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to jump in here, and I thought, because one of the things that's really good about the book is the jokes that are in here, or the parts that are lighthearted. And it's the story you share about your family worrying about who you would marry. And having spoken about marriage, yes. And when it was reading it, all I could think is like, I totally agree with his family. I totally agree.
You were on their side.
I was on their side, I'm sorry. And it's probably because I'm also thinking about myself. And it's like, I don't think I'm comfortable getting married outside my own culture and outside my own race, in a way. And that's probably because I don't want to these ones and egg blow and all of that all day when I'm really tired and I need to really talk. And so it's just that comfort that comes there. And so for me, that was a good moment. There was a humanness about that story that I was like, yeah, this is really what we need to hear today. Where we can say as people, we agree on this, and it has nothing to do with not liking other people. It's about, where do I feel home? Let's talk about this home. And so it's just about that.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. I'm going to add for you that haven't read now, obviously. Ek is Kap Willem van Heerden die 5de. En ek het in Mozambique gebly vir 10 jaar. En ons familie is tyd. En nou wag hulle heeltyd vir Kap Willem van Heerden die 6de. En ek is ongetroud in Mozambique. Die enigste wit uit die dorp. So elke jaar, the anxiety in the Van Heerdens is getting bigger because the worst thing that they can think would be if Kap Willem van Heerden, oldest son of the oldest son of the oldest son, is a colored. It's like, skak hom in 'n huis toe kom. And so that's the funny part of it, but the reality that Ragad is touching on is, at the end, I didn't get married in Mozambique to a black woman speaking Portuguese and Shona. Not because of the obvious reasons, but I ended up marrying an Afrikaans girl, which is something about my core DNA. So that's why I can say I'm unashamedly Afrikaans. And what was funny, I'm just being transparent, is sex and romance is the kind of the last thing to fall for us as Afrikaners. Is in my heart, nie van my beste nie, baie van my beste mansvriende is wat giet swart, praat nie Afrikaans nie, en hulle is vir my soos absolute broers. Maar dan is daar iets, as dit kom by die vrouens, waar ek versigtiger is, allerhande redes, maar dit is asof, selfs in apartheid tyd, you can still love black people, but please don't marry them. It's like one step too far. Which is fine for me, I married Afrikaans girl, but there's many people that do make Tiger Woods and Brian McDonald's and Kulissies and en dan moet ons deel met ons eie shock. So it is anders om te sê, I prefer, soos Ragad prefer language, but other people don't, and then there is inner work to do. So
Ja, ek wil gou inspring op daai topik van my familie het oor dieselfde gestres. Ek is 'n NG predikant. My ouma het elke keer gesê, just don't bring 'n vervoer van Lensburg, van der Merwe, like your child, jy bring, like, ons smeek jou, ons verstaan jou Afrikaans is mooi en jou hele wêreld om in die NG te wees, maar ek sê vir jou, as jy een keer toe gaan kuier, ek sal met Konrad, 'n vriend van my, by die huis. My ouma was soos, "Jo." Ek het die kind eers, jy weet maar. So, toe ek uiteindelik in die Willem-man by die huis bring, daai man was aanvaar. Of hy nou nice is of nie nice is nie. Daai man is swart, daai man is in die Willem, daai man is alles omhels, jy weet? So, it goes both ways. But I also want to touch on this. When I was a student, I liked the white boy. And then, ironically, he was a fundraiser, but he liked him very much. But even in high school, I remember also liked the white boy, and the family was fine with us being friends. Ja, dis die guy says, "Well, Charlotte is hier as ouder and so." Maar the moment Charlotte said, or the moment the guy said, "I actually like Charlotte more than a friend," the parents were not fine. And I remember I was still in school, and that touched me because that told me that, but you can't fully love a black person then. Because for me, okay, and I love the fact that we differ on this. For me, it wasn't just the country, you couldn't accept me for being good enough for your child. So the moment your child says, "You'll be sleeping next to me one day or having kids with me," because that's where it's going, right? All of a sudden you're uncomfortable, but I sleep in your house. I sleep in your guest room. I bath in the same bathroom as you guys. However, the moment your son says he loves me, that is impossible. So there's a tipe skynheiligheid wat mense het waaroor ons moet praat, ek dink in sulke kamers. Want dit is skynheiligheid. En ons skynheiligheid haal ons ook uit die kerk. En I know spot is for you, but ons doen dit ook in die kerk. Dis oulik om langs die mee te sit, maar dinge moet nie te nader kom nie. Okay? You understand what I mean? So it's a beautiful story to start on, but there's a lot of couples that can't visit the other one's family because the other one don't accept their color, which means that their kids also can't have Christmas with them because of this and that. And recently I also found out this in Betereinder, which probably because I'm born 94, forgive my naivety, but a friend of mine from another Engelika said she couldn't visit her in-laws because she's English. Daarom is haar kind 'n soutie. And me and my boyfriend sat there like, "But you're a white." Like, you understand? Like, these people are white. Like, they have the same hair, the same nuances, and same.
Not the same ones.
Oh, that's what I thought. But also, they speak Afrikaans so well. I'm like, "But you speak Afrikaans?" She's like, "But ja, maar nee, ek is 'n soutie." I'm like, "Maar jy praat Afrikaans." And it's like, "Nee, ons kan nie vir mekaar kyk nie." So we still have these things that I think we need to discuss. That jou aanvaarding vir swart mense, hoe ver gaan dit? Aanvaar jy hulle net om vir te werk, om jou tydplanne oor nie, ek het 'n swart maatjie. Or does it go beyond that? Are you at a place where you can accept me to be good enough, to be a woman, to raise your kids, to have your surname? And that's a different topic.
Ja, ek wil net sê dit is so huge en ek praat dit my eie sonde uit. I have a lot of appreciation for each step someone takes on the journey. So for some people, just stop using the K word is a big victory and just greeting a black person. So I will never make fun of them for that step. It's their step. And then there's more steps. But then there's a group of people that think they're so far along the way that they're like, "Oh, don't tell me about reconciliation. I love black people." En wat vir my wakker geskrik het, is nie omdat dit sê ek moet met 'n swart persoon trou nie, maar ek het swart vrouens wys vir my waar ek nog werk nodig. Issues wat ek nie met swart mans het nie, het ek met julle. En dit beteken nie ek moet met julle trou nie, maar dit wys vir my kop is nog nie skoon nie. Ek kyk nog nie soos Jesus kyk nie. ek kyk nog soos ek daai tyd geleer kyk het. So I think it's a useful wake up or blind spot check. Is the romance and the gender is different. So I think we don't have to stay at it a long time, but it's fascinating to have different views. Maar we net te vinnig verby kyk. Dis al die Christene wat so colorblind is. Oh, we've moved beyond race. We've all
Think heel oor our views.
brothers and sisters in Christ. You want to move along, these things can show.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not really moved along as you think.
Yes.
So, sorry to chip in. But I kind of concur with what Charlotte said, that we need some understanding in why is it not so easy in accepting. And this moves beyond relationships. This moves to workplaces as well. That's one of the reasons why I moved away from the NG church. Because the pure fact that white people never have a black dominee standing on the pulpit preaching to them. Because for them, they brought the gospel. Why should somebody who received the gospel from them now preach it to them? So it really gives this bitter taste in one's mouth, because it's all fine and things that we're having this conversation here. We're having it with somebody who speaks Afrikaans fluently. And I stopped also speaking Afrikaans because it makes people lenient, or it makes them feel free to even throw like a racial slur, and I'll just grin. Oh, it's So it gives a bitter, sweet taste in one's mouth. However, I said I'm going to be a bit toned down tonight. So there's a place in your book that I really liked, and I'm hoping by the end of tonight we will be able to get to this place. So it's on chapter 81. It says, ek vertel die storie van Miss Betty om te illustreer dat situasies wat hopeloos en hartseer is, waar mense opgegee kan verander. And for me, that struck me because we are a very hurt country. We are an angry country. We are a sad country. And 25, 27, 28, whatever years later, we are still sad, we're still angry, and my hope is that this will change. And not just in the country, I think it needs to change in the church as well. What do you think?
Ja. En voor jy dit antwoord nie, wil ek dit vasop by Sanile, want exactly what you said. Scott maak 'n joke in die boek en ek het gelag en ek het gekringe. Hy sê, daar's 'n grapie wat mense sê van swart babatjies is so cute, dis net jammer dat hulle woordsproot en like yo. I even need a glass of wine now. You know? And
sorry, I just want to repeat. Everyone didn't hear that. Julle het dit al gehoor en sê, swart babatjies is so cute. Dit is net. Dis net jammer hulle word groot. Dit is die grappie wat ek al baie gehoor het.
yes.
Maar daai grappie ring true.
Daai grapie
Want as jy na die NG se budget kyk, waarvoor gee hulle geld? Vir crashes. En dis cute. Hy sê nie cute nie. So ons op vir sy kinders by die crash geld gee. En hy cute. Dis tough hierdie hoor.
Ja, so daai wat jy sê daarvan en ook I think what I'm trying to say is I want you to go into depth about telling us about this, because again it's about aanvaarding. Wat is dit met ons wat mense so veer dat hulle nie wil hê so op 'n preekstoel saam met hulle wees nie. Wat is dit van ons sodat wit mense voel as jy deel van ons wil wees in sulke kamers, word soos ons, lyk soos ons, doen dinge soos ons. Dis wel weer. Ek het gister met 'n vriend van my gesit and he said it so innocently without realizing. Hy sê vir my, weet jy, ek ken nie hierdie nuwe kollega waarvan jy praat nie. Hy moet 'n bietjie na ons diens toe kom en hy sê kom gaan nie na harde diens toe nie, Afrikaner. Like dis so asof nee, ons gaan vir julle 'n plekjie maak. Dan sal ons 'n bietjie die diens in Engels vir julle hê. Ek sê wat is dit met Afrikaanse mense dat hulle dink julle is spesiaal en almal van ons moet freaking iets in ons verander om soos julle te wees en te lyk en hoekom kan jy en ook 'n ander ding is en dis die rede hoekom jy ons nie kan bevriend nie. Dit pla my. Hoekom moet jy vir mense 'n resepte gee om vriende te word met ons? Hoekom is dit moeilik om 'n vriendskap met my te maak? Sis, I don't get it. Like as 'n equal, as iemand wat ons het in dieselfde universiteit geswat. Hoekom voel jy bedreig? Selfde klas, hoekom voel jy bedreig as ek preek en ek moet vir jou luister skaal? Hoekom moet ek in jou huis wees en jy nie in myne nie? Like, maak my verstaan wat maak jou beter?
Mag ek dit sê?
Yes.
Ja, ek
So, ek neem gewoon uit wijn aan ons.
En jy kon vir my ook ingooi, dat ek dit dan sien.
Ek dink ons word 'n bottel.
Okay, so I just want to add to Charlotte's story about dating and like Afrikaans people. So I've been in Afrikaans school my entire life. I played rugby, so all the parents of the kids like me. So I always go over to their houses, we have fun, it's always a good time. But every time I try to like date a girl, she'd always have to think about it and come back the next day and be like, oh, it's not you, it's me. But I knew why she said no, but she wouldn't obviously wouldn't say that. And obviously it was the parents who wouldn't allow it. Yeah, and that just made me feel bad because I was like, I think of us as like equals and you see me as less. So that's why I stopped trying to date in school, like completely.
It's like also trying to get into the first team of in high school. I mean, I did athletics, I did rugby, I did review, I did almost everything in that school. And I had to stop playing rugby because I was always sidelined. The rich family of the school did not want to see a black boy playing with their child in the first team rugby. So I think in the entire season I played one game, and I was one of the fastest kids in school. So, and then it came to me that, okay, government check, there's this farewell thing, and then Germany comes, preach to us. This Germany says to us, you guys are equal, everyone is made in the eye of God. And I'm sitting there like, I don't think so. So for a very long time, it hurt my identity in a sense that I could not fit in with black people because I did not know Venek at that time. I can't fit in with white people because my skin tone is too black. Where do I fit in? Where am I in this world? So having to navigate yourself through such difficulties, and mind you, at that point, the only community that I know is a white community because I grew up in a small town called Volmer. And that's all that I know. I mean, I was not even allowed to go to family gatherings because I get there, I speak Afrikaans, my cousins look confused like, what the hell? Who are you?
Yeah.
You understand? So then I go to my friend's place, they go to a farm, they want me to pet a lion, I'm scared. Then your identity already is ruined from that day. So, goes back to Charlotte's question, why can we not be seen as equals?
Ek was 20 jaar uit die kerk uit, so ek werk nog hard betuimal om die kleurvolle Afrikaans te gebruik in sekere situasies nie. I've got 10 million things in my mind at once now. Dit is complicated more because ek het nou baie vrae gekry. Laat ek nog 2 bygooi. Black friends, so I need to disclose, because of my calling towards poverty, 90% of my black friends are poor black people without an education. So there's two totally different journeys for me, like chilling in the township in the shacks, and then dealing with top-level corporate black people that are richer than me. The journey there doesn't prepare you well for the journey there, and vice versa. In fact, it sets you up to get smacked on the other side. So I'm just disclosing that. But my corporate black friends always say at the workplace, there's this invisible wall. It's like a limit. And everyone's friendly, they pull us in to a point. I kind of hear that always, to a point. And that hurts a lot when you move close. Then you realize, oh no, it's because then the rest feels like fake. So ek hoor dit baie in corporate and work en homself buite die kerk. The other one, I had a friend that just passed away from COVID, Ongani Sibeko. And I said he wouldn't fit in this chair. His dad, David Sibeko, founded the PAC with Sibukwe. So the PAC is like worse than the EFF. There's no erger. I think Roy Wikis is next to Eleni. So a very, very radical bunch. They won't even talk about South Africa, it's Azania. So Bongani, I would say, is as radical as it gets. And once I ventured, the question that you must never ask work black people, Ufanani, what do you want from us? Oh, the audacity to ask me what you want, blah, 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 blah. You're unprepared, go and read books, blah, blah. You shouldn't, whenever you see a very smart work black person, don't ask them what you want from us. You must figure it out by yourself or your other black friends. So I ask you, so I ventured, I put my whatever on the line with Bongani and I said, okay, you guys are very radical. I'm sorry for alles, ma. What do you want? So, and I was so surprised by his answer, which I'll never forget. The most radical person, he said, we just actually want to be treated as fully human.
Yes.
And to think the guy that's like 10 times my lemma, that is real honest answer. En wat se boere hart sal nie sag word vir daai stelling. Ek gee nie om vir wat se party jy stem of dit of dat nie. If you have a black person telling you, all we want is to, he didn't say we want the land, we want me to go back to the Netherlands or drama. I need to say we want to be treated as fully human, and black people, you have like a special, I don't know what, you get a gaydar, I don't know what the other dar is, but like a radar, a black dar, I respect the human radar. But no matter how nice you smile or what you do, people have like a built-in, do I get a sense that you see me as fully human? En dit is die ding wat my nogal laat stilstaan het. Van dit alles wat julle hier sê, ag nou gesê, you're cute when you're small, but when you're a big black man, you're kind of scary. Or there's fear. I mean, it's absurd, but that's what I'm hearing. Dit dating goeie staat vanaf met die vraag. For me as a white person, some of the conversations are really difficult, but when I hear another human being saying, we don't get the sense from you that you see us as fully human. This is so a tragedy. En ek worry nie, die sinne wat jy sê, ag, dis nou 25 jaar na apartheid, kom net oor dit. Kan ons nou net aanbeweeg, hy is nog jammer gesê. Nee, dan gesê ek nou. My goeie genade. Wat, dit is nie Jesus houding nie, ek worry nie wat jou politiek nie, maar as 'n ander human being vir jou sê, al wat ek wil voel, is as an equal human being. Is dit nie jou hartbreek nie, is dit nie jou na jou naaste toe wil vat nie. So it's a tragedy, but that is where we is. Die probleem is nie is, hoe kom ons daar deur nie? Die probleem is net met al die noise level in die land. Hoeveel mense dit nie hoor nie, hulle wil dit nie eens oplos nie. Ons is net soos iemand wat offended is op my toon getrap is. Ons het net al die slogan, slaan terug. Dit, moeg vir dit, gatvol vir dit. So we're not even hearing the call for real equal humanity. Want dis 'n lekker journey eintlik, om te weet waar is ek 'n koepel, en waar moet ek groei, hoe kan ek leer om jou beter te respekteer, Waar kan hy, alle goed so ons, daar's noise in die land. Wat maak dat ons nie so vraagkunde? En dis my baie sê. Baie sê.
If I could jump in there, and I think recognizing each other's humanity, and I think it's a question we probably have to discuss as a country, is how both sides were dehumanized. So it's not that sometimes you can't recognize somebody else's humanity. It's the fact that your own humanity has been destroyed.
Yes.
And so there's a part I have a question about it, and I think it's one of the later chapter about men's spheres, where you speak about it. And for me, now that we've brought it up here about recognizing humanity, and for me the question is, how do we restore each other's humanity? Because that's what needs to happen. It's not just the recognition of Black humanity. It's also understanding that the person who committed the atrocities of apartheid in terms of being a police officer, because that's a question I want you to think, I would like you as when we discuss the way forward, is having a discussion about the NGK. How do we help the church make peace with its history? Because that is where it begins to heal, cross boundaries and open doors. It's making peace with your own history, because once you let people in, they get to see how dirty your house is, how dirty your rooms are. And for me, the question, as you speak, coming back to the MFG after 20 years of being away, how do you help the church make peace with its own history? How do you help somebody who served in the police during apartheid, who committed those atrocities, rediscover their own humanity and open their hearts, so that they're able to recognize somebody else's humanity? Because to be able to do those kind of things, you have to destroy your own humanity.
And mind you, I was in a conversation, this is not the first conversations that I'm having about race, and I was always sent to these from the university, go talk about race, go everywhere. So I was sent this one time to, I won't name the place, because we are, no. They'll sue. But anyway, we went there, and the very same question was asked. We were talking about the NG Church and its future going forward. And the very same question was asked, that how does the NG Church make peace with its past? And this white man from, I think, Dalmas, and is it Germany, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not even sure if he's from the NG Church, because there's a lot of churches at that point. Said that we had to do what we had to do. Why can't people just realize it and move on? You guys have the country back. And I'm just like, my guy, no. I think you don't know what hurt you brought yourself when you think you were bringing hurt to our people. And this healing needs to go both sides. I'm not going to advocate for white people because I'm not white. I'm going to advocate for Black people. So he said, all right, it happened, they had to do what they had to do. Let's get over it. And I'm looking at him like, no, we can't do that. We can't get over it. And like I had said, I'm not about to stand up for whiteness. I'm not about to share their pain because I don't know it. I don't know what you guys are going through. But what I can talk about is my experience of being Black and my experience and my firmness of what I go through in a daily, you understand? So I can only talk about that. But I think at some point, the church really needs to sit down. By sitting down means lock their doors and lock the old Wimpys and Tannies and whoever in it and have that conversation and say, but where are we going as a church? Where are we heading? And what is God saying about us? And where does God stand with us? Because I feel like God is a God of justice. And if you not stand where God stands, then as a church, you're out of order. You get what I'm saying? And this thing has been prolonged. I mean, it's no secret that all of us here were once colonized. All of us. Not just black people, not just all of us. All of us shared a space in those terrific camps. But the problem became when we came out of those camps. Because of we shared the same trauma in those camps, we were supposed to take the trauma and push it so that we unify based on the same trauma that we faced under the English or the British Empire. However, what happened is that the church took power and its people. They thrived with that power, marginalized some people within that power. And then the same thing happened post-94. The marginalized took power. They're thriving with that power. And they're marginalizing those who were in privilege before. So today, we have angry black people and white people who throw pity parties.
And on that note, it's called.
No pity parties allowed, so
I
not
like
allowed.
what he said. I hope you heard it. Black people are angry and white people are throwing pity parties. I just want to quickly latch on that. In South Africa, it seems no one's winning. In my life, everyone I speak to feel like they are losing. Almal dink hulle trek in die sy in die agterste speen. Wat ironies is, want almal kan nie verloor nie. Niemand is besig om te wen. So wie die beste deel? As ek met swart mense praat, dan sê hulle by verre die wit mense. Kyk so wys met op en na my. As ek met wit mense praat, ek het nou baie meer swart vriende as wit vriende. Die mense in ons land wat die meeste kla, is wit mense. Want ons is maar net eerlik wees. Die mense wat swaar kry, kla nie soveel soos die mense wat Fortuners ry. Dit is nou maar net so. Die mense wat die meeste het, kla die meeste en dis gewoonlik wit mense. Dis maar net maar dit is vir my ironies dat ons almal dink ons is die wat suffer. En ons is nie almal, we're not on the same level of privilege and suffering. So, miskien moet ons net, dis interessant dat jy sê black people are angry, white people are having pity parties. More than the merit of the questions, wil ek net weer aanhou touch, to stay in the conversation and not to get offended or emotionally triggered. That's the hard work that we have. Because the merit and where the church comes from and the justice of our conversation, it's such a grown-up conversation. But we're not having it because we get touched on our studio. But daar is 'n daai video, there's 'n baie goeie om in die kerk te wys. Meneer Versagie van die AWB was on TV and the black host of the program kept on pushing him. And Mr. Versagie and the other black male host, they lost it. Took the mic and gooid it and stormed out of there and pushed each other. So we've got such a grown-up conversation that we should have. And I just want to recognize that as children who haven't grown up yet, our emotions somewhere just removes us from it. We clutch up. So selfs vir vanaand, wil ek hê jy moet weet, ek moet weet. Ons moet nie uitklats emosioneel nie, anders kan ons nie die voorvleespraatjie hê. And there's a heavy stuff that was said. If you don't think it's heavy, my friend, listen again.
Can I interrupt?
Please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I've had this conversation in terms of black circles, and I think it's not that we're not having the grown-up conversation. It's the trauma and the anger that Sandy is speaking about. Trauma and anger has a way of making us vote against ourselves. So we often talk about why people continue to vote for the ANC, for example. And it's not because they hope tomorrow is going to be better. Sometimes it's the fear of what might happen if they're not in power. And that goes back to that trauma that has gone unhealed, unaddressed. So we have a bigger fear of anybody else ruling the country. And so we keep voting against ourselves. And that is why the grown-up conversation is not happening, because we have this trauma has frozen us in time.
Yeah, before I go into politics, and then Dr. Trevor, you want to say something? Just hold it for 1 second. Before we talk about politics and that, I just want to pause on the one about the church, because there were questions, hard questions from theologians in our denomination about the NG Kerk. Ek was vir 20 jaar uit die kerk uit. So toe ek terugkom in die kerk, the first thing that surprised me, and I've said it then and I'm sticking to my guns, is the way I know the church and the way I know South Africa. The church is having one mighty, spectacular fight about gay people, because then they don't have to talk and fight about black people. So while we're keeping the fight about same-sex, whatever, blah, 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 we're not having the black conversation. You're asking why no black too many in white churches. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about same-sex marriage for the next 50 years and fight about it. Because while we're busy with the chat about gay people, we don't have to talk about black people. My opinion. Hate me, don't hate me. That's what I see. So then the NG Kerk, we're closing down by the buckets, by the way. And we can't talk about going forward because we are now already they're going to say, no, the leadership meeting with the EFF, blah, blah, blah. There's Willie Jonker said, sorry, in Rustenburg. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about every day. Your question. So die NG Kerk kan nie vorentoe gaan en ons weet nie waar ons gaan. Dit is nie eerlik oor waar ons gaan. Dit nie. But the NG Kerk in general, and I'm saying that as part of this problem, we're not honest about where we came from. We're not honest about where we are. We're in an apartheid bubble because of language. And now we want to talk about going forward. It's a big joke and it's a topic for another night. But big problems for me, according to me, in the NG Kerk. I'm telling my integrity, I'm compromised just being part of it. So as you, as ek om hier uitgaan, is 'n probleem, ons is in 'n crisis. And Dr. Trevor?
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I salute you guys. I have a high respect. All of you there, some of you are probably my kid's age. I'm 55. May the Lord give you the stamina to serve God. The solution of this country is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ changed my heart in Soweto when I was a young person. I became a Christian at the age of 17 years. I hated white people. I didn't know that even when I became a Christian, I still hated white people, especially Afrikaners. So I continued being a Christian, unconscious, unaware that I hated Afrikaners. So just to tell you, there are black people in this country who pray, who carry their Bible, and go to church every day. In a strange way, we hate white people. And then God dealt with my heart, 1988. He told me that I, Trev, 1988, I was 21 years. You are a racist. 1988, you are a racist. God became personal and told me, a black person, that I'm a racist. Because I knew racists were white people. So when God says you are a racist, doesn't matter anyone who comes and tells you I'm not. It's only white people. Then you know you are a racist. God then changed my life. And then I prayed to God. There's a place in Soweto, it's called White City. It's a funny white city. Some of you know about it. And then I prayed this prayer. I said, God, I was crying, forgotten the people. So our church was mixed. The white people came to Soweto. I was suspicious of them. Why white people in Soweto? And then I cried. Then I said to God, please change my heart so that I don't ever become a member of a black church, because I perpetuate the very blackness, which is violence, poison, toxicity, all the nonsense. And then, fast forward, I became a pastor of a white church. The African white people, Africans and English. Then I became a friend of Anglian Flock. Remember Anglian Flock? Became his friend. I want to tell you, as a Christian bride, you Afrikaners, God gave you a message to be Christians in this country. You did not do it. Now you are panicking. You have those young people. What you see is not Malema. It's a harvest. Not harvest. When you have a lot of trees, what do you call it? A forest of many of them, 70s, in the 80s, in the 60s. Their name is Trevor. I'm 55. Jesus changed my life. I'm a friend to Scout. Scout and I, we go around the country talking to the young Afrikaners. They are fearful about the future. As we were fearful when I was 17 years about the future in the new South Africa, 2023. You're going to die and leave your children. You call yourself Christian. You're running away to Australia. Shame on you. We need to stand up. I'm not going anywhere. I shouldn't go anywhere. I salute you. I'm very sorry that you went through that. Scout and I and Johannes didn't come here, but we come here. We go and talk with the young Afrikaners who are trembling, who are saying, but I didn't do apartheid. They share their hearts with me as a black person. I'm sorry to stand up here and tell you straight.
Sorry? We're just taking time. Please just...
Yeah, I'm going to tell. My apology. You know, black people talk too much.
I don't agree, guys.
So all I'm saying is that this country, the solution is Jesus Christ. And it sounds like I'm being spiritual. I'm not saying it's a cliche, like a born again, hallelujah, Jesus Christ. It's more. So I want to say to you, let's not, I don't know, Stark, I want to say something that's contradictory. Do you think conversation is still work? This thing, I suspect. There were a group of Afrikaners in the 80s. They went to Dakar. Who's that African? Give the mic. The tall African. Van Zilslaverend and some. They didn't talk, they did act something. They met with the ANC. I think the time to talk will come to an end. We are nice talking here. There are people sitting in the squalor camp in this country. They don't have time to talk. So I'm just telling you, as one who grew up in the apartheid, not like these guys. We didn't follow Jesus Christ. We weren't supposed to do that. And we need to do something before we die. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sorry to cut you short. Yes, we will, after the session, we will then have conversations while talking. But yes, no, I want you to carry on and just...
No, just looking at time.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, just one last.
Yes.
Just one last. In your book, I struggle personally with this chapter called Betereinder. And I understand the fundamental value you have or you had written in terms of Betereinder. But with that had been said, that's where I noticed that you're part of the people that are throwing a pity party with that one chapter. And I think I read it 3 times just to wanting to understand it, or wanting to understand your emotions behind it and all that jazz, right? And there's a part where you had said, die hele terugkrap van Black Lives Matter met All Lives Matter wys hoe broos wit mense geword het. Baie is nie meer okay nie. Then I made a comment and said, why are they not okay? Alright? Then I moved on. I moved on to this page where I made a lot of notes, as you can see. And then you made a comment on Julius Malema being laugh. I totally understand what you're saying with him being laugh. And I'm not standing up for him, and I'm not EFF. Actually, I'm not a politic person. However, I can understand some of his anger or his hate towards white people. For a black person, we've been stripped away from our own identity. And when I mean our own identity, I mean it in an African sense. We are now doing things to please the West, to please the white. We are no longer doing things that our forefathers used to do, because white people came and deemed it as evil. So we deem our cultures, our traditions as evil. So obviously, if you take my culture away, if you take my tradition away, imagine if I take Kwekos and Sogi away from me, how are you gonna feel? So imagine taking so much tradition and culture away from me. How am I feeling currently? And that is where a lot of hate stems from black people. A lot of black people are hated because of much of their identity is taken away. And they're using this tactism that if you are black, automatically you are angry. But no, we are hurt. We are not just angry. You get what I'm saying? So going back to Black Lives Matter and all versus All Lives Matter, I think people were very ignorant to not understanding why the hashtag came about, because black people were marginalized, black people were killed, were brutally killed. And that's where we were saying Black Lives Matter. You understand? It still meant, all lives matter, yes, but at that particular moment, in that particular political sense, Black Lives Matter. And it reminded me of a protest that I was that I was with in 2016 Charlotte. If you remember, we had a huge protest at UP called Afrikaans Should Fall. All right, I was part of it. I grew up Afrikaans my entire life, but I was part of Afrikaans Should Fall because on the basis that we are, it looked like a university keeping a heritage that was not for us a heritage or something. We were forced to be taught. I was taught with a microphone, with headphones. All right. I pretended as if I don't know English, Afrikaans. And then this lady blatantly lied, and I said, you can't say that. You understand? So meaning that some of my education or people who don't understand Afrikaans is a bit skeptic, because of now they did not get the same education as white people. Now this goes back as 1974 or 76. You understand? That's what I wrote in my honors dissertation, and saying that we as current young people, we're suffering from a transgenerational trauma. We can't be fighting Afrikaans Must Fall from 1974 till now. You get what I'm saying? So you need to understand the depth of, alright, You need to understand the depth of why there is a hashtag or why there is a certain thing being brought up. I think you need to understand. And I think that's one thing people don't want to do. They don't want to learn to understanding, how to feel what is going on. You understand? People don't want to feel, people don't want to understand. Instead, they are protecting themselves in the meantime. But there is a lot going on beyond that hashtag of Afrikaans movement. If you hear stories of people who are studying in humanities, people who are studying in theology, I mean, it's creepy stories. You understand? There's a lot going on. So I think with Witwerk, we need to talk about it.
Yes, and before you go into that, because you see how Sandile spoke, I wanted to address it before Dr. got on the mic. And it's a culture thing I think we need to teach each other. He is not mad. He is expressing himself. He is passionate. Because when we speak like this, we are told, ek kan nie met jou praat nie want jy is heeldag kwaad. En dit voeder my om. Dan is dit kwaad.
Well, I can say I changed to that because 10 years ago, if someone spoke like this, I would draw in my shell like a schoolpad.
Ons moet daaroor praat.
En ek kon nie deel daarmee nie. So dit was net beoefen. My anxiety now with him is zero. So, maar ek kan dit verstaan.
Yes, ja, ek wil hê mense moet dit weet wat hulle van sulke conversations ek het wat mense hê. So as jy met soort mense sit en hulle praat so Sandile, ons is nie kwaad nie. Dis 'n passie ding. Dis op ons hart, dis 'n hoor ons wil gehoor word. Dit is regtig nie en ook kulture is anders. Ons ekspres onsself met ons hele liggaam. Okay? En as jy wil saggies praat saggies. Mag gee die persoon ook 'n kans om hulle self ook so te ekspres. So I just wanted to mention that, but asseblief vertel ons van dit werk want ek wil ook leer.
It's a struggle. There's a point where you said racism. I need to read you that line. I honestly want to give him the mic. I thought I was not going to say it, but whoa.
Why are you looking for it? Did you find it?
I found it.
Okay.
Racisme is iets wat oorkom kan voor. En om dit te herken en erken. For me, that entire line is traumatic. Because you can't say to me, racism is something that I can come over or overcome. I suffer from PTSD due to racism. It's not something that you can just brush over and say, oh, man, it's okay. I need to really work on it. I mean, from the times I was bullied from grade whatever till high school to varsity, and I kept brushing it over. I'm like, no, man, it's not that. It's this. It's not that. It's this. But the moment I sat in the therapist room and we spoke about it, and she's like, you suffer from PTSD due to racism. It's not something that one can easily come over. Hence, we're still having such deep talks in our country. We're still having talks on racism in our country. We're having it because it's not something that you can easily overcome.
Yeah. I just want to model the conversation right now.
Yes.
So die Afrikaner in my dink, ek het nie gesê dis maklik nie. Ek het gesê jy kan dit erken en herken en dan kan jy dit oorkom en dit so ek wil dadelik stry met hom. Ek sê dis nie wat ek gesê het nie. Ek dink jy dit so maar wat ons moet leer en wat ek moes leer en wat ek moet leer is irrespective van wat ek al geskryf het en wat my bedoeling is, moet ek nou raak hoor wat sy belewenis is. En ons is nie geoefen daarin. En dominees is die mense wat die slegste is daar. Want hulle jump na wat is waarheid toe. En Trevor het nou baie geestelik gepraat van Jesus dit, Jesus dat. Jesus prakties beteken, ek verdedig nie my lyntjie in die boek nie. Jesus prakties beteken, ek luister na sy ervaring. En ek besef, dit wat ek iets eenvoudigs kan skryf, is anders vir hom as wat dit vir my is. En dit is die kerk se taak om mekaar te leer om hierdie chat te hê. Dis 'n mikrovoorbeeld. Hulle gaan dit nie leer by die skool nie, gaan dit nie leer by die werk nie. En as die kerk dit toemaak, hierso is ons beste job description. So as 'n kerk toemaak, het ek nie simpatie nie, want ons het 'n groot taak om te doen. Is net om een sinnetjie te leer, conversation nie. Vanaf net oor wit werk, nee. Ons het blinde kolle. Braai dan. Baie aktief, ons almal braai. Al die vakansie daar is ons warm. Ek het gaan soek op jeugdag. Wat sê die wit NG Kerk? Wat is jeugdag? Weet jy net wat is jeugdag? Wat post jy op Facebook op jeugdag? Wat het in 76 gebeur? My kind is 3 en 1. Hulle gaan weet wat het in 76 gebeur. Hulle gaan jeugdag vier, die tragedy daarvan. Sodat as Afrikaans sprekendes, Afrikaans must voldoen. Afrikaans sprekende Jesus volgelinge. Afrikaans must voldoen. As Afrikaans sprekende Jesus volgelinge eerder Engels praat. Die kerk post niks op jeugdag. Sê nie wat hulle sleg voel nie. Ek sê nie, daai nonsens van kan ons net aanbeweeg. Ons gaan nergens aanbeweeg. Die kwaliteit van ons terugbeweeg gaan die kwaliteit van ons kinders se toekoms bepaal. En of pappa en mamma gaan braaf wees en oupa en ouma, of ons kinders gaan hierdie job kry. En ek wil nie 'n lafaard wees nie, want die goed wat hulle aanraak, het baie meriete. En ons het nie tyd vanaand nie. Vanaand voel so 'n bietjie soos 'n injustice, want dit is soos vat dat popcorn, dan gaan ons huis toe. Ek voel amper selfs jammer sê daaroor, maar dis net 'n soos 'n starter of 'n advertensie voel ek. Maar ek wil maar net sê dit, ek weet nie hoe hoor julle wat hier gesê word nie. En die pity party is 'n groot een, nee, is nie the meaning we attach to words nie. Die pity party is as jy uitstap en huil oor hoe sleg was apartheid, no one cares for your tears. Gaan ons vir justice veg daar buite. Ou Testament woord geregtigheid. Integriteit, geregtigheid. As dit vir jou saak maak, gaan jy veg vir geregtigheid. Bybelse woord. Sê wokenis nie. Godse woord 2000 jaar oud, 4000 jaar oud. So hierdie state vir vanaand, as dit jou kan trigger tot justice, dan het ons nie vanaand ons tyd gemors. Maar ek dink ons sit so met ons tone in die brandertjies. Ek weet nie of water soos in die Kaap is te koud, nee, dan sit ek weer op die strand. Maar ons sit met ons tone vanaand in die branders, en elkeen van ons kan uitfigure. Stupid ene, nee, why can't we listen to a swart dominee? Ons lees nie swart mense se boeke nie.
Dis waar.
En dit gebeur nie van self nie. Iemand moes my leer en sê, Skalk, wat se swart outeurs lees jy? Toe lees ek Tutu. Toe klein maar het hulle gesê Tutu is die duiwel se kind. Hy dra rokke. Nou lees ek Tutu se boeke. So we have to be taught and we have to teach our children. Lees swart outeurs. Wie is jou swart? Nie wat is swart mense help jou nie. Wie is jou swart mentors? Vra vir jou dominee. Wie is jou swart mentor?
Okay. On that note, yeah, I think we can open it up to the audience. I think you've been listening a lot to what we have to say, and it would be wonderful to hear what you have to say to start, and to any one of us here, challenging us and getting us thinking.
Please ask us while you're awake.
Ek bring die microfoon.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. It was a great conversation. Me and Anna have had a few discussions that were, it's pretty challenging for us to deal with some of these things, I think. So I come from the Free State, from a farm, from a very rural community. So it's really difficult for me to, on a daily basis, step over this threshold of dealing with those atrocities that you spoke about. Because, in a way, I think I myself also took part in those atrocities the moment when I, as a young boy, laughed at the racist jokes that my friends and family made. So, on a daily basis, I must reconcile myself with myself for the atrocities that I committed as a young man. And it wasn't even like I took part in these massive things. So it's very difficult for me. So we really need the grace and support of the black people that we do engage with to help us to in this reconciliation process. That's just the first comment I wanted to make. Then I want to ask Skalk a question. You spoke around having grace with, having a lot of grace with the things that white people still say today and do today that alludes to their racism. And I deal with that a lot. Like, every time I go home, that's one of the main things I have to deal with. And to what extent am I setting myself out when I have grace with people? And what is my responsibility towards those people when I have that grace? That's my question. How should I respond? How should I interact with them in a way to not just give grace and dismiss what is being said, but also help to bring change in the way that they look and live life, basically.
It's a very good question, because the line is very fine between grace and just being a sellout and not brave enough to risk your friendship or whatever. So the way I know how people change, there can be miracles, like Trevor said, one day you became born again, blah, blah, blah. But in general, people take 5 years, 10 years to change. And your integrity will show on what journey are you with that person. So I don't want him not to say the K word at the braai. My next step for that person is to be at my house at a braai where there's actual black people. So I have a long commitment. And then that will show me my integrity of why I kept quiet there and what's the journey. If there's no journey, then probably I was just a sellout being comfortable. So that's the one element is do you really have a journey and a long commitment? Are you going to punish that family member with Skalk's book and see what he says? So do you have a long plan? But just the pure grace, and you've alluded to it, is white people were also broken. Although we were having, like, being broken on the beach, and you weren't, we were also, and in the mall and all this, we were broken. So when a person has that much, it's kind of like that anger is the middle ground. Because you're angry coming from hurt, and you meet us at an angry spot, but our anger is from fear, probably. But it's both broken and we're all in an angry mess together. So as much stupid is, and disrespectful about God's children that's black, my first thought is not anger. They are fundamentally broken as a human. From a Christian perspective and from an Ubuntu perspective, you are not human because that you can't be human with another human. So I'm not going to ek gaan nie raas met iemand wat stikkend is nie. But I literally look at them as fundamentally human broken. And you treat them as a messed up, individual. But baie ernstiger is as don't say this. So ek dink die diepte van mense wat kwaad is en ongeskik is oor God se kinders. Dit wys op 'n baie siek plek. En party mense gaan maar net doodgaan in daai toestand. Hy het gesê, min tyd. En dan.
Sorry, no, someone making a comment is always frustrating in a Q&A session, so apologies ahead of time. I just wanted to touch on what you just said, and Sandile, what you also mentioned is about white people also needing to acknowledge their hurts. Those of you who've been discipled or mentored, you always know that time when it comes, you always share when you struggle. You tell them, okay, please pray for this, this really hurt me, this affected me. But you're actually getting to a really intimate time when the person mentoring you, starts sharing his struggles with you. And I feel sometimes, I said white people, just a term, but white people approaching this conversation can so often be like, okay, black people tell me how this hurt you, so I can say sorry. Please tell me so I can acknowledge this. But it basically becomes almost like a looking down. I want to say sorry for your pain, but I think touch on something great there, just like bringing ourselves down, acknowledging the pain of how it affected us. So I'm not a born free. I was in grade 1 free, so it was grade 1. So it counts. So it's first order reading. So that's something. But I don't know. None of my friends, no one comes from a broken home, but none of them have a great relationship with their dad because all of their dads went to bush. They had to do service there, so they all had PTSD. No, you can't talk about it. Just suck it up. So there was dehumanizing, not on the same level. But I think there's a danger of comparing. Oh, it's so bad, so let's not cry about it. But I think just acknowledging that will bring that level down. Just saying, no, it affected us as well. So just thank you for that.
Thank you.
By een hoofdstukje aan die begin sê, breek totdat jy heel is. So it's not just about recognizing my pain, blah blah blah. Vat daai issues, klim maar en breek dit nog meer, want heelheid lê agter eerlik wees oor al die stukkende goed.
Come on, I don't think I will talk. Personally, I do believe that both white and black people have so much baggage that we are carrying in this country. And we are all fighting for ourselves. I've got long stories and short stories, but I think sometimes when my short stories, the message doesn't come through, so I'm all sorry it doesn't come through, but I truly believe, that is some of the stories, is the hurt and the uncertainty and the fear, which the Bible says to us, fear means it's scary, ons van God. And truly I believe that is some of the things that it's inner healing, it's self-acceptance. It's the bit in me that sometimes creates what we are having at this point in time. That's my short story. Thank you.
Thank you.
We didn't speak a lot about fear in the book I touched. There's levels of fear. There's fear from I was hijacked, my family member was killed on a farm. I'm not getting jobs like I used to, not getting bursaries like I used to. There's loss. So daar's baie vrees. Vanaand dit is baie valid. Ons moet daar deurgaan, maar ons moet daar deurgaan. Wat ek nie verstaan nie is om daai vrees te gebruik as 'n verskoning vir woede en generalizations about black people. So die moord in die township en die moord op die plaas is beide verskriklik. Maar die moord op die plaas is nie 'n rede hoekom ek moet funny wees met Timmy nie. So ek wil dit maar net sê, dis baie reël diep vrees en pyn, maar dit is nie 'n verskoning nie.
Oh, I was just going to end because I had a comment about that when I was reading that section. And it's a sermon by Pius Nadia after his death. It's titled My 17 Years, and doing the work around reconciliation in the school where I work. I use that as a speech, as one of the reflection points. And in it, he talks about how the purpose of the Bedding Order was not just to keep him out of politics, it was to destroy his inner life. And he asked his wife to look out for him, to keep watch with him, that when he started responding from a place of bitterness and anger, that she needed to be his guide and keep watch with him. And I think that's what we need more of, and that's what I think you were alluding to, because that's what immediately came to mind when you said, we need to go through this. You need to get to the other side. I think many of us don't have enough people keeping watch with us about the state of our hearts when doing this work.
Nog so een, het lyk my is 2. Is daar iemand in daai, iemand wat nog iets wil vra? Goed, lyk my ons het nog so 3. Nog so 3 vrae.
I think just
Is daar een?
I think just a comment that I have as well. Obviously, as a young person, I see it a lot, and people want to. I told them just now, I don't want to be that guy that say, "I've got a black friend," you know, as if that's gonna buy me some grace or something. But I see that a lot, and I think also as a Christian, I ask myself, if I can't be a nice person and honor my white friends, how am I going to do that with something that's got history as well? I think sometimes we forget to be a nice person to everyone, and that includes black people, that includes white people, that includes everyone. And then I've got a question. There's some, I don't think he's a very smart guy, but Albert Einstein said you can't change something by doing the same thing over and over or something like that. So we're saying that the church caused a lot of hurt, and I agree from what I've read, obviously, that that's true. So how does the church then go, according to you, and fix that? So the same person that's caused it needs to now fix it. How do we change and actually fix it?
Iemand sê my oordeel will never change.
How does the Church of the Oppressor become the Church of the Oppressed?
Sure.
Wow.
How does the church of the oppressor now becomes the church of the oppressed?
It's a long journey, but yeah. But the biggest wisdom is to take your long journey and know where how to start and what to do first. And if you forget everything about tonight, and if you don't buy my book, don't read the book, whatever, again tonight, as we did last week in Joburg, we've got a bunch of white people speaking about Afrikaans book in English, because we've got some black friends in the room. Dis iets wat die kerk nie bereid is om te doen elke week nie. En as jy vra hoe ry ons daai power om ensovoorts, ons gaan 'n call moet maak oor wat is die belangrikste moedertaal of vadertaal. Obviously vader met 'n hoofletter V. Nee, maar dit is as simpel as dit. Jy moet gaan besluit wat ding is eerste. Want dit is 'n praktiese goed wat keer. That's just one thing.
Good evening, guys. Thank you so much. It was really, it was good and it was tough. It's interesting, the ongemak wat ek self beleef net om te luister die vrae and the questions and answers, but it's good because I just read it in a book. If you're not challenged, you don't grow. Something like you said, comments in the Q&A part, but something that came to mind constantly as I was listening to you, and I know we said we struggle with the white-black marriage, you know, but in a sense, the thought that came to mind for me is, yes, we weren't consulted to start with, but in a sense, we're stuck in this marriage now, or at least staying in the same home, and the same home in South Africa. And so I'm not married, so I'm now talking hypothetically, but I have been in relationships, and this actually counts for any type of relationship, but I think a marriage relationship is obviously the more, the one closest one that you will have. And in essence, what happens often when couples drift apart is there's this hurt and anger of, I feel like you have done something wrong, and you feel like I have done something wrong. And neither feel like, I'm not saying sorry enough, I'm not saying sorry at all, and I'm distancing myself constantly, and the circle perpetuates itself. And it feels like to me currently that is what's, and tonight's obviously the attempt to not let that circle perpetuate itself, is the only way for a couple, for any relationship to grow closer again, is for both sides to admit the pain, for both sides to admit the hurt caused, the losses experienced, the loss continually experienced. And I think that's also what makes it difficult. A friend and I had this discussion previously. We all have trauma, and I'm not talking, let's take
relationship, personal trauma. It doesn't have to do with race or anything. You have trauma, things happened, and maybe you had a very difficult dad, and then even though you've worked through it with a psychologist, psychiatrist, sometimes, you know, the trauma gets perpetuated because he's still your dad and he's still angry sometimes. And I think that's something that we have to acknowledge what makes this difficult, but which is admirable for all of us to continually try and say, okay, I sucked, I made a mistake, I'm trying, and let's talk again. Because if we don't not having the conversation, then we will continue to drift apart. And I think that's great for tonight. And yeah, hopefully going forward, more and more of us, because that's also the problem, I think, is we're a select few, and a small group of people can change the world. But obviously, we need more and more white people and more and more black people willing to have these conversations. Good job. Just thought I'd.
No, I like always when you talk about marriage, you've got me because ek het soveel drama met my vrou. Maar dit is wat jy sê, as ons stilstype kry, is omdat altyd voel te nagekom. We both feel wounded. So you refer to that and then the limitation of tonight. So ek wil net gaan daai link maak. En dit is vir my baie moeilik met kalvinistiese nederigheidsseremonie. Maar wat ek hier doen met die conversation is, dit is dieper en verder as vanaand. En dit is om nie te sê wat doen die ander kant, ja maar wat van hulle, Zuma, dit, korrupsie, dit, bla bla. Dis nie wat die ander doen nie. Die Bybel sê, haal die balk uit jou eie oog uit, vee voor jou eie deur skoon. So wat massive is om haar huwelik te red. Ek is om te dink, hoe ek seer gekry, want ek dink, wat doen ek verkeerd wat my vrou laat seer kry? So wat ek wil unashamedly sê, die boekie is 'n Afrikaner wat skoon vee voor 'n Afrikaner deur. Ek het baie great swart vriende wat dieselfde doen voor die swart deur. Ek sê nie is dieselfde issue nie. Ek sê net, daar's 'n plek om nie kleurblind te wees nie. Each of my black friends have their own black issues. Different from mine. Maar ons moet vir ons eie deur skoon vee. Nou, vanaand word opgeneem en ek baie blous doen dit. So ons moet dit share, net as 'n conversation starter. Maar hierdie is pragmaties hoe om hierdie chat te hê, sodat jy nie net soos die in ons land, daar's white victimhood en is dominant. So hierdie sê daar's nie chat white victimhood, kom ons maak reg. En ek wil so prakties wees dit te sê, almal wat my ken weet, ek vat nie sent uit die boeke nie, dit gaan nie daaroor nie. Moenie eens dink moeilik vir myself koop nie. Dink, wat 3 vriende kort hierdie chat, as 'n gemeente of 'n familielid, en koop vir hulle so, vanaand is embarrassingly kort en limited, maar as vanaand net kan provoke om te klik, ons het nodig om hierdie boekie daar uit te kry, vir mense wat nooit na ons vanaand toe sal kom. Ek worry nie eens of julle wat hier sit dit lees nie, want julle is hier. Dis reg, dis hoe eenvoudig dit is.
When I go back to my student years, in the late 60s, we had the same discussion. We had to do it in secrecy because there was a law that the black people should not go into the white areas. And when that was discovered, we were visited by the security police, but the black people were arrested. And I remember one evening, some of you know Dalton Bos. It was at his house, and there was a confrontation between us, between what some people thought and other people thought, and we had the risk of being there. And it was a heavy discussion. Some of you know Sambuki, between David and Sam, about these issues. And then his wife stood in between and she started crying. And in his book he later wrote, if two forces crash, somebody gets squashed in between. And we must realize that is where we are. And that is where we meet Christ. He was crushed between different forces. And when we go away from here, I just plead that we know we have a message. But we know we will probably be crossed in between. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up because I know some people must go back to Joburg now. But you can. Oh, right. Yes, please. Okay. Yes, that I wanted you to do the closing. No, I just want to say that I'm so glad about this conversation this evening. Like Trevor there, he's 55, I'm 50 now. And yes, we grew up in another place, another time. And actually I thought, well, everything's fine now. Everybody's doing what they need to do. And yes, there's racism and so on. Because we had the Rainbow Nation, we had 1994, everything. But a few months ago, I attended a conference at, was it UNISA, I think, and the next generation of people in the church came together, and I realized the anger that there is. And I realized we're not done talking. And the role of the church is to help heal the wounds. And there are still wounds, more wounds than there was. It will be good if you can close up, and then Scott, if you can just tell us about this and so on.
Start with me. Okay. As we close off, I have a question I want you to answer in wrapping up on hoe gaan ons vorentoe? Nou, so ek dink my vraag was gebaseer omdat ek 'n lektor is en ek werk met studente en jong mense en 18-jariges wat ingaan en ook by die kerk is dit jong mense. So my vraag is omdat jou boek prakties voorbeelde gee. Ek sal graag vanaand 'n praktiese voorbeeld wil hê vir my, vir die mense in ons kerk hier, want dit is julle kinders en julle kleinkinders en so, hoe help ons jong wit mans, jong wit kinders om 'n swart mens soos ek in my posisie te respekteer. Hoe help ons jong mense, jong wit kinders, om nie op campus of in die wêreld in te gaan met die justification van dis nie my skuld nie. Dis my ander ding. Hoe help ons jong wit kinders wat kom van klein wêrelde waarvan hulle kom, om in te kom sonder om vir Sandile en vir Timmy te fear, omdat hulle swart mans is. Okay? So ek soek prakties, want dis die mense waarmee ek moet werk in ons land, om ons land te verbeter, om ons land 'n beter plek te maak. So ek wil weet hoe engage ek met die mense sonder om 'n defense mechanism van hulle te kry asof ek met hulle ouers en hulle ouers praat. Okay, so dis wat is, dis die een ding wat ek graag wil ons moet mee hier uitstap. Die ander ding wat ons mee hier wil uitstap wat ek jou wil vra, wat ook in jou boek geraak word, is en ek moes myself, soos jy gesê, jy moet jouself keer van defense. Ek moes myself keer om nie kwaad te wees toe ek jou witwerk lees, want jy begin deur die Betty Party 'n cherry cake te gee te sê jy is geliefd, want jy is geliefd deur white person. Jy begin met iets geliefd deur 'n wit Afrikaner te wees, jy is geskep in 'n image van God. Dis vir my baie ironies, want julle is mense wat as julle die image van God en vir die Bybelkinders wit Jesus gemaak. you know, and you can still feel the anger in me. And then to the same people I'm supposed to give affirmations. Jy's geliefd, jy's cute en kom werk saam. So my vraag is, en hier is iets wat ek mee ook gaan moet werk. Hoe kry ons wit mans, ouer wit mans nou, op 'n plek waar hulle nie hulle self bejammer nie? Want ek werk in 'n NG Kerk waar wit mans nie meer 'n rol wil speel in die kerk vir die kerk. Omdat hulle voel Suid-Afrika het hulle uitgesluit. Dit is iets wat ek as 'n swart mens glad nie verstaan. Want ek voel op die hiërargie is wit mans die freaking hoogste. But you can hear, so ek sal graag wil weet, hoe kan ons 'n balans kry? En ek wil werk aan SA, ek gaan nergens heen. Hulle gaan wel gaan, want ek was nog nooit uit, maar kom terug. Dat is my land hierdie. You know, Afrikaner en swarte saam aan hierdie Afrika werk. So dis die twee mense waarop ek die meeste mee fokus. Ek het gesê, swart vrouens laat jou baie, ek dink met wit vrouens is ek al op 'n plek waar ek kan sê we can engage in this, but I'm struggling to feel sorry for white men. So ek sal graag dit ook weet.
So I'm going to make a different point. I feel a lot of people approach this from a point of guilt. So like a lot of people here sit now, and now they're going to go out and do something, but they feel guilty now. Now when a black person talks like Sandile did earlier, that guilt and the way he talks like makes them retreat, and that's bad because that's obviously bad because that doesn't build a relationship. So the next time they want to interact with a black person, maybe they'll think of the last time they interacted with a black person and how it didn't feel as great, and that would discourage them from trying again, which I feel is a problem.
Thanks, Isabel.
I'm sorry. But in all honesty, like Charlotte had said, that's passion. And I'm in the Old Testament field. Look, ask me about trauma in Old Testament, and that's exactly how I'll respond. Anyway, in your book, you said the cat likes was better and for food. And now, my question to you is that because we like identity, why is the church not moving into a new identity? Why are we not moving from Buddha and for food? I'm going to speak for the church because I'm a big part of the church, and I love the church. And one day I want to see these two churches, the URC, VGK, and AFH emerging, being one church. And we also, I want to see emerging and being one church. And then another question that I posed, and I said, in your book you speak about reconciliation so much. Why do you think is it very hard for the NG and the VGK not to become one? Because part of the discussions is reconciliation. But why are we not becoming one?
I think my book is going to start with your comment about, I'll just try and read it. Ek verpak nie al die slim dinge wat ek al gelees is, wat al gesê is, maar gesels oor my stories en gedagtes soos geleef en deurleef. I'm going to start with that because I think we haven't fully explored the depth of theology that we have as this country and the ground that's been covered on the subject. And starting on one of the comments you made about moedertaal of nie. And there's an essay by Neville Alexander about Afrikaans and how Afrikaans can help us build the new South Africa. because the structures of having a child being educated from grade triple or at home in their mother tongue to university and the workplace, Afrikaans has developed that structure, and we shouldn't lose it. And the other thing is, I probably should have started here. Thank you for writing this book, because I think it needs to be written. As Dr. Trevor mentioned about young Afrikaners, uncertain and unsure, and I hope you will allow me this comment. This book is not for the people in this room. This book is for the future generations, because our young people need to be affirmed in their identity. And I think what you do in this book is what we good at for young Black people. And that needed to be done today. And so, in closing, I think all of us here present need to be careful of playing struggle Olympics. Nobody's pain is greater than the other person's pain.
Let me start with the quick ones, because others aren't quick. Thank you for affirming the book. In a way, why did I write the book? Steve Biko told me. And it might be horrible to hear that the oppressor needs to feel loved, but that's where my theology is bigger than my politics. If a broken person doesn't feel loved, they will not stop being broken. Although it's very ironic, I get it. Why Jesus, ek verstaan het, maar so dis een waar jy moet op challenge. Nie by jou nie, by ons. Timmy, wat jy gesê het en wat jy gevra het is, how do we change? The nonsense of white people should tolerate and learn to live together with Black people, not enough. We need to learn to enjoy Black people. It will solve many problems, including inviting a Black woman. If we don't learn to enjoy each other, which is much higher than tolerate and verstaan and blah blah blah. This is my challenge, and as a tool and as practice. Geniet ek het. Wil ek saam jou op vakansie gaan? Forget all the outreaches. Cancel them. Just go on holiday together. And if you're not going on holiday together, let's be honest, we're not enjoying each other. And we can learn to enjoy each other. That is underrated, the enjoyment. And I can even enjoy a brother that's passionate. Doesn't take away from the enjoyment. So, hoekom wil die kerk nie saamkom nie? VGK en GK. Simple, mammon, money.
Yes.
Simple answer, simple solution. We love money more than we love Jesus, and we love money more than we love you. That's the answer. That's the answer. I'm not going to give a fake answer. Ja, maar die VGK het ook hulle eie paar struggles. Klomp verskonings. We want the money. So that's the I'm not saying, yeah, I like your point of local theology that can be explored. We don't have to listen to Leonard Sweet and all the Amerikaanse ouens. There's local stuff that we can learn from David Bosch. Best of the best local. The identity of the church, a defense mechanism for the dominees. As ek sê, hoekom is al die swart mense in my kerk nie? Weet julle wat sy antwoord? Skalk moenie politiek in die kerk inbring. And that's why I wrote that sentence. The way that the church looks now, that is full politiek. Mens noem dit apartheid. Whites only. So as ek sê, waar is die swart mense, dan wil ek die politiek uit die kerk haal, nie inbring nie. Want hoekom ons lyk soos ons lyk, gaan oor verwoording en daar is nie oor Jesus nie. So, massive, and we have to be real about it. Ek bring nie politiek in die kerk. Ek wil die politiek uithaal, totdat ons soos Handelinge 2 kan lyk. The new identity, yeah, it's very good questions. dat ons moet verby die, ons moet skield raak om die verskoningsreg te vat. En moenie politiek inbring nie, is nie goed genoeg verskoning nie. Jou hele storie, prakties, ek sal prakties wees. As jy vanaand 'n boek koop vir iemand, dan kry jy 'n pakkie Tswana-kaarte by, speelkaarte wat ons gemaak het, prakties, respect, learn another language. It's difficult, I know we're not that smart, remember? Like people who speak 10 languages, we speak 1 or 2. But you can learn to be smart with 100 words. So vanaand kry jy kaarte wat jou 'n swart taal laat leer, ja, dit sê weerskyn en speelsal. As jy 'n boekmerk soek vir jou boek, maak plek vir taksies. Almal kan enetjie kry. Jy kan daai stiker koop vir R250 en dan kry jy die boek verniet. Kaarte, stiker en boek. Maar die praktiese goed is so eenvoudig. Ek het daai maak plek vir taksies op my yskas. Vandag kom 'n 8-jarige laai teen ons huis in wit. En hy sê, hoekom moet ons plek maak vir hulle? And in the hard work starts, there's no shortcuts. Maar as jy daai stiker op jou kar, en jou lewe gaan nie weer dieselfde